first pre-season test in Barcelona gave us a sneak peek at the 2026 Formula One cars, but it was a private event with limited information. Now all eyes are on Bahrain for the first official test, which runs from February 11th to the 13th. This is where we will really start to see what these new cars are all about. But if you're watching, what should you actually be looking for? Well, it's easy to get distracted by the fastest lap times, but in testing, those numbers often don't mean that much. So let's break down what does really matter and what the Bahrain test will reveal about the 2026 season. First, forget about the headline lap times. The timing screen can be very misleading. A team could be running with very little fuel in the car on the softest tyres, with the engine turned all the way up just to set a fast time and get some good publicity. But that does not mean that they have the fastest car. Another team could be doing the exact opposite. They might have a full tank of fuel, be on the hardest tyres and have the engine turned down. Their lap time will be much slower, but they could actually have a much better car. The fuel load alone can make a massive difference. For every 10 kilograms of fuel you have in the car, you have about 0.3 of a second slower per lap. So a car with 100 kilograms of fuel will be about 3 seconds slower than a car with no fuel. That's a massive difference. So when you see the timing screen, don't get too excited about who is at the top. It's probably not the full story. But here's what you should look at instead. If two cars set the same lap time, but one did it on hard tyres with a full fuel load and the other did it on soft tyres with an empty tank, the first car is actually much faster. That's why you should never just look at the timing screen and think you know who is quick. It's way more complicated than that. So if lap times don't matter, then what does? Well, the most important thing to watch for in testing is reliability. How many laps are the teams doing? A team that is doing a lot of laps is a team that has a reliable car, and a reliable car is a car that can finish races. In Barcelona, we saw Mercedes do over 500 laps with their power unit. That's a huge number, and it shows that their engine is very strong. On the other hand, Audi only managed about 95 laps. That is a big red flag. That suggests they are having problems with their new power unit. So in Bahrain, keep an eye on the lap count. The more laps a team does, the better. It means they're learning about their car, they're gathering data, and they're building confidence. And remember, every lap a team misses because of a breakdown is a lap they can't get back. Time on track is everything in testing, especially in a year where the cars are completely new from the ground up. Another key thing to watch for is the balance of the car. How does it look on track? Is it smooth and stable, or is it a handful for the driver? You can often see this in the slow motion replays. Look at how the car turns into the corners. Does it look planted and responsive, or does it look lazy and unwilling to turn? Listen to the drivers' comments after their runs. Do they sound happy with the balance, or are they complaining about understeer or oversteer? Lewis Hamilton gave us a really good insight in Barcelona, where he said that the new cars are oversteery and snappy, but more fun to drive. And that tells us that the cars are more challenging to drive than the previous generation, but also more rewarding. A car that is easy to drive is often a fast car, so watch for the teams that have a good balance. They are the ones who are on the right track. This year, we also have active aerodynamics to watch. For the first time, both the front and rear wings will have flaps that open and close. The idea is to reduce drag on the straights and increase downforce in the corners. In Barcelona, we saw some teams experimenting with this, but in Bahrain, we will see it in action for real. And, well, how well does the system work? Does it open and close smoothly? Does it give the drivers a noticeable advantage? And have some teams found a clever way to use it that others have not thought of? This is a brand new technology for Formula One, and of course it could be a game changer. Some teams in Barcelona already showed different approaches. Ferrari's rear wing opened up nicely on the straight, while other teams seem to have a more cautious setup. In Bahrain, with more running time, we should see teams pushing this system even harder. So keep a close eye on those wings. One of the biggest questions for 2026 is whether the new cars can follow each other more closely. The new regulations are designed to reduce the amount of dirty air that the cars produce. This should make it easier for drivers to follow each other and to overtake. In Bahrain, we'll get our first chance to see if this is true. When you see two cars on track together, watch how close the car behind can get. Can it stay in the slipstream without losing downforce, or does it struggle in the dirty air? That's a crucial test for the new regulations. If the cars can follow each other more closely, we could be in for a much more exciting season of racing. The 2026 cars are also 30 kilograms lighter and slightly smaller than the previous generation, and that could make them more nimble in the slow corners and easier to throw around. Drivers like Lando Norris have already said that they expect the races to be more chaotic this year, and that's partly because the lighter, smaller cars will be harder to control, especially at the start. And what about those new power units? Well, they're a huge part of the 2026 regulations. They have a 50-50 split between the internal combustion engine and electrical power, and they have new modes that the drivers have to learn, like boost, overtake and recharge. In Bahrain, we'll see how the drivers are getting on with these new models. How do they use them on track, and how does it affect their energy management strategy? Have some teams found a better way to use the new power units than others? That's a big question. The power unit is the heart of the car, and the team that gets it right will have a big advantage. Also, keep an eye on the practice starts. Several drivers, including Norris, have said that the starts will be much harder in 2026. The new power delivery makes it tricky to get off the line cleanly. A bad start could ruin your race before it even begins. So watch how the teams handle their practice starts. It could be a sign of who has their power unit under control and who doesn't. Another huge factor is the new sustainable fuel. In Barcelona, the teams are allowed to use the old 2025 fuel, but in Bahrain they'll have to use the new 100% sustainable fuel. This is a big step forward for Formula One, but it is also a big challenge for the teams. The new fuel works very differently with the engines, and some teams might struggle to get the most out of it. We've already heard that Aston Martin might have an advantage here because their fuel supplier, Aramco, has a lot of experience with sustainable fuels from Formula 2. So watch for any teams that seem to be struggling with the new fuel. It could be a sign of bigger problems to come. So there you have it. A lot to watch for in Bahrain. Forget the headlines and focus on the details. Reliability, balance, active aero, following, power units, fuel upgrades, and long runs. Those are the keys, and that is where the real story of the 2026 season will be written. It all starts in Bahrain. What do you think? Who's looking the best as it is right now? We'll see you very soon.